brings you an intimate exploration of the businesses, practitioners, and artists making an impact in our community. Join us on Patreon for an exploration of all the people, places, and things that raise consciousness in our community by telling us about the businesses and happenings you'd like to know more about, and we'll explore them for you. The wild woman is a dangerous woman, for she doesn't need, doesn't depend, doesn't submit, and doesn't apologize for bleeding. Whatever she does because she can. She fully wants and embraces who she is. Excerpt from The Wild Woman and Nourishing the Feminine Soul by Pamela Wasabi. Welcome to another episode of Mindful City, Tuning into Life. Today I have a special guest joining us, Pamela Wasabi from the Pamela Wasabi Bakery in Miami. And I actually met Pamela at the Seed Plant-Based Food and Wine Festival recently in Miami. And she was discussing a topic that I find not only just super intriguing, but also very personal to me, as I have dealt with my journey with food and how it's affected my life. And then I found out about her book, The Wild Woman, Nourishing the Feminine Soul. And her book is addressing food issues and eating disorders and healing through food. And so I thought that is definitely something that we have to discuss and really look at. And so I had to invite you to the show. So welcome.
Thank you.
And I also told Pamela, I said that I never feel that I do justice to someone's story. So I asked if she would share a little bit of how did we get here? How did we get to a point of writing this book? And what is a little bit of your story? And tell us about your bakery.
Yes. So my story, it definitely has to do with food. Growing up, I was never really curious or attracted to food. I was, a skinny girl that didn't like food, only probably ketchup and French fries for what I remember. I grew up in a Latin country where the staple at the house is steak, rice, and potatoes, right? And then anything that was vegetarian was completely unknown to us. I probably had, in the school that I attended, we were probably 500 kids. There was one person that was vegetarian, and that was because she had her mother, her father were some sort of gurus in some sort of community. But it was like an exception, a very rare exception. So I always saw her as someone very special, right? Mm-hmm. And I related that to her spiritual kind of like background. But yet all of it was so unknown and rare to me. I was just attracted to it, but I never really paid attention or really went deeper or even questioned if that was something that I could become also. Mm-hmm. So basically, I moved here when I was 16 years old. And I found out I had a thyroid issue. Also something that back then, there were no cell phones or iPhones, or, information was not so available to us. I simply went to the doctor. They prescribed some pills. I took them. I finished the bottles, and then I was like, I don't feel any difference. So why should I continue taking them? But, never really like hit me what was going on. So now we have food, we have my health issue, and then speeding up the process. 10 years after I got pregnant, and when I got pregnant, the doctors again told me that I had a thyroid issue, and that I really needed to address it because I could put in danger my baby's health and my health during the whole pregnancy. So that's when it really hit me, because the doctor said that I had to take these pills. And on top of that, I had to be hooked with machines and stuff during the birth at a hospital. and that I wouldn't be able to breastfeed. And I think that's what really hit me. I'm like, I cannot rob my daughter from that. I cannot not breastfeed her or feed her, you know. And still back then I was not very savvy when it came to nutrition or the mind body, the mind body connection. It was just kind of like some sort of fire, some sort of something within me that just knew right from wrong, but not consciously. So I just knew that what the doctors were saying did not resonate with me, and I needed to find other answers, other solutions. So I started seeking and answering and asking questions, and it was a very deep question that I had. I'm like, there has to be something in the world that I can do to help my body heal. And that was my question, like, what can I do to help my body heal? And this is a very profound question for me, because I didn't address my body as wow, I can help my body. For me back then, the body was not existent. Like I think that in a way, sometimes we go through life not knowing that the body feels, that the body is emotional, that the body responds, the body sends us messages. So yeah, that was a very profound question for someone that, to be honest, I was very rebellious back then, and I didn't have that awareness. So I found the answers, and the answers were to study integrative nutrition. So that's how my path started. So I took the course, and then the message that got me, that changed my life, was to control your health. You have to control your food, and to control your food, you have to cook at home. And I was like, wow, how interesting. And I didn't question it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I started buying, before I would just like order food or go out and eat at restaurants or not eat. Like, it was just, food was a afterthought, never was the center plate, in my life.
It was just something you had to do.
Right. It was just, we gotta eat. Oh, damn. Like I didn't enjoy food whatsoever. Not at all. However, I had already become vegan by then. So I'm like, okay, I have to cook. So let's do it the right way. So I will just research recipes that were, plant-based, gluten-free, organic ingredients, wholesome, not processed, like everything from scratch. And I will do that every single night during my pregnancy. I mean, I did it every single day. I was fascinated with it, and I taught myself how to cook.
What a commitment.
And I taught myself how to bake, but I was not thinking about it. I was just doing it. I will come home and I will do it. I will come home from my job at 8 p.m. and I will cook till like midnight or so. And then my partner back then will come, eat everything, and then we'll start all over again the next day. So it was amazing. And then this was in the second semester of my pregnancy. And then by the sixth month, we check my hormones, and I balance everything in my body. I balance all my hormones. I balance my thyroid. I was, just healthy and strong, and I had a light in me. But more than anything, I was in myself. I was in my body. I felt different. So that's how I learned how to cook and bake. And I learned to cook and bake vegan and gluten-free. Like, I don't know how to do anything else, That's how I learned how to cook, which has led me to really go deep into this art and make and create my recipes, because there's no book, there's no previous book to it. There's no French cuisine or French school or traditional way of cooking. My daughter's in the background, so so that's how I learned how to cook and bake. And then the story goes is, after I had my daughter, I breastfed her for 4 years. I had a natural birth at home. So I had a natural birth at home, and I now had this in me, which cooking and baking became just something that I had for myself, where I could just relax or explore or create, or, it became very close to me. Speeding up again, 2 years passed. I broke up with my partner, and that was devastating to me. And then a couple months later, I got let go of my job, which also was, pretty heavy for where I was in that moment. And so what happened is that I got sick again of my thyroid one more time. And then this time, instead of being hypothyroid, which was what I had before, this time I was hyperthyroid. Like, no, my apologies. My apologies.
Before it was hyper.
Thyroid, and then now I had hypothyroid, and I had the whole Hashimoto's, and I had the adrenal fatigue, and my body changed drastically. I gained 30 pounds. I couldn't get myself, to get up from my bed. Like, I couldn't physically pick my body up. The sunlight would completely dilate my pupils, so I couldn't really, like, it will hurt my eyes. I would feel tired and fatigued at all times. And I had to keep working and working and working. And so the question again at this moment wasn't, how can I help my body heal? Was like, wow, I learned how to cook. I know everything about nutrition. I know how to prepare a plate with, your salad, your kale, your superfood, your everything. And I'm still getting sick. Like, what's going on? So that was the other very profound question. It's like, what's missing? What I'm not seeing here, what's missing? And so again, the answers came, and I came across Mark David during one of those summits, and then he had a very interesting insight when I saw him talking in this summit that I came across. And it turns out that Mark David is the founder of the Psychology of Eating Institute. I was completely intrigued by it. And then again, I took I enrolled and I studied with him. And I got my certification in coach for psychology of eating. But what happened during this process is that I learned that our bodies are emotional, that we are emotional beings, and we are constantly in change, right? That's what being emotional means, constant emotion. And so I realized that what my body was trying to tell me, my body was trying to communicate with me back then. And every time that that something surfaces in the body, how I see it right now is that the body is trying to bring you back home. Because we tend to escape, we tend to run away from the situation, we tend to run away from responsibilities, we tend to run away from trauma, from pain, from suffering, just because sometimes we don't have the tools to deal with those obstacles or struggles. And so I was running away from my life because it was extremely tragic and traumatic. I was traumatized for what had happened to me, my relationship, and where I was in life. And so I learned that what the thyroid was trying to tell me, the thyroid became, now I can tell you, the thyroid became my thermostat for balance. So every time that my life is off balance, my thyroid kicks, give me like this signal, like ping, 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 ping. Like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, okay, I'm feeling tired just because I am going too much on this way and I'm abandoning this other side of myself. So, okay, go back to balance. So the thyroid, the Hashimoto's, the hypothyroid, which is when you get this kind of disorder or imbalance in your body, you go into hibernation mode. So what the thyroid, or what my body was trying to tell me, is that it was time to slow down. It was time to be kind with myself. And it was all about nourishing myself in that mind, body, and spirit paradigm. Right. Yeah. So instead of hating on my thyroid, instead of like saying, why is this happening to me? Why, instead of like becoming a victim of what was going on, I completely switched perspectives and I understood what my body was trying to tell me. And I remember that the first step that I did to heal myself was, instead of like, you know, hitting the gym for 45 minutes, running 5 miles, and yeah, because obviously, you know, the body changes and you're like, oh no, this cannot be. And so you restrict diet, you restrict
Yes.
restrict that, and you're so hard on yourself when the only thing that your body wants for you to do is to be happy, to relax, and to enjoy yourself. So I realized that I had to change that in me. So instead of like going for a run, I'm like, I'm going for a walk. Walk.
Yeah.
and and that was the first step that I took. And long story short, I balanced my thyroid again.
Yeah.
I went back to balance. I became stronger than ever before. I understood that mind body spirit, mind body connection.
I have a question about that a little bit because, honestly, that's one of the things, even for me personally, that I noticed, spending my life, quite a bit of my life in a monk lifestyle. So a lot of that focuses on the spiritual part only. And, I looked at a lot of my fellow monks and nuns that just were not really in touch with their body. So for me, that was a big challenge too, because you almost don't want to take care of it. You don't, it's like, it's a hindrance. And it's a hindrance in the spiritual aspect. And so much of all that experiences that we're having or that are emotional, that are also sitting in our body. How did you begin to address the healing that you had to do on all those levels?
So this is the very interesting, what I came across, or what I concluded from my own experience, right? Mm-hmm. What I concluded is that those characteristics, or those tools that I resort to heal, which is being kind to myself, nourishing myself, holding my own hand, and slowing down. Those are tools of the divine feminine. Okay. So what I discovered is that we have feminine energy and we have masculine energy. Okay. But everyone in the world, everything in the world, it's made up about these polar energies. Okay. You have masculine, you have feminine, absolutely everything. There's a need of the masculine and the feminine to come together to create a dance, and then to give birth, to give life to something. You can call that a kid, a project, a book, a company, a relationship. Anything's made out of these two energies. So what's going on in our lives, and as women, as single moms, sometimes as business owners, as having a very demanding life, is that we women are completely getting out of balance and getting out of sync with our feminine energy. And we have decided, or in a very unconscious way, that our feminine energy is not really important. That now what we need to do is go the masculine route, and saying that we are busy as the trend and as the cool thing to do, overworking ourselves till 3 a.m. with no rest, going to hitting the gym like crazy because that's what we need to do, because we also can do it, and skipping dinners. So we resort to the masculine tools. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because there's a time and a place for being a bit more
driven and more,
exactly, being direct, being a go-getter, goal-oriented, are masculine traits. And a woman can be goal-oriented and have masculine traits. I have to be very masculine when I am the owner of my business. But in my life, I am a woman. I have feminine energy. My body is made of this feminine energy, and my body needed a divine feminine, beautiful energy to bring me back into place, to bring me back home. Okay. And our bodies are our home. Okay. So for me, it's very important to have in mind the mind, the body, and the spirit, because we are in this world experiencing ourselves. And I don't think there's every other being or every other living being in this world that is able to observe and be aware of yourself. And what the body is doing for us is giving us that beautiful gift of being here and feeling emotions that, other sentient beings are not aware of, right? They are just in proper love, and they exist and they are, right? Like a tree, a flower, a cat, like animals. They just are, and they just blossom, and they just are. They are life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we are also that life, but we get to experience that. Like that is incredible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what
it's almost like you get to see it and experience at the same time. You get to observe yourself experiencing it.
Because we live in this physical dimension, so you cannot just deny that that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people from, I mean, you can choose what your path, or you have your path in the world, right? So you choose how to kind of like you choose how you do life. Mm-hmm. But for me, I discovered that the most beautiful gift in this world is being alive and experiencing that. Mm-hmm. So, that mind-body connection, that mind-body spirit at that time was that realization that we can experience ourselves, and that we have to be thankful, appreciative, and work in sync. Mm-hmm. Was like what took off my desire for be happy, to really seek that and make the best out of every single day.
Right? How would you say, for women, because obviously it's not just, it's society overall, it's the times that we live in. And that's the interesting part about women taking their place on the stage that I also notice at times, is because we're not always taking our place on the stage in our own right. We're doing it in the format that maybe the males have done it, and like we don't have to, per se do that. So how do we begin to guide ourselves back to that defined feminine? What is some of the steps we can take?
So, I mean, this is a worldwide, like, how you call it,
pandemic.
A phenomenon,
phenomenon. Yes, that's it. Yes.
And we also have to realize that our society is very young. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So our society is like a teenager right now, and it's getting to know itself, and it's making mistakes, and it's harming itself. It's thinking that wanting to run away from responsibilities instead of facing them. It's like wanting to live in the outside of themselves instead of going inside and seeing, okay, what is this all about, right? Mm-hmm. It's about taking shortcuts. It's about not really going deep and understanding what's going on. So I see society as a teenager that is lost and is trying, and eventually, what happens when we're teenagers, that we are lost, we are confused, we hate the world, we see, a lot of things that are not working. I wouldn't say evil, but, like for a teenager, the world is like distorted, like there's something wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And then you start to try to find yourself and ask the right questions. You start like, I'm alive. Wow, I'm aware. Oh my God, I am 16. Oh my God, I can do this. I have these talents, and I fall in love, and so you start being aware of yourself. So you just to answer your question, it's not really about how we see women in the world. It's how you see yourself in your life. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's going back to understanding the makeup of a human being, which is masculine and feminine. Like you cannot deny these two beautiful energies and this beautiful dance that happens inside of you. Mm-hmm. Just as happens in a relationship. And I don't care what sexual orientation you have, even in a woman and woman relationship, there is masculine and feminine energy, because these energies just match beautifully, right? The masculine gives certain traits to the feminine, and the feminine gives certain traits to the masculine. And for them, they need this dance, this pull of like push and pull and soft and sharp sometimes. And, sometimes it's just like receiving and giving, and you need it. And this happens inside of you. So that really the answer is to go really inside, and whatever difficulties you're having, you have to solve them. You need to take responsibilities for the difficulties in your life and really ask, what's there for me? Mm-hmm. Okay, how can I see this different? What's there for me to learn? And know that all the struggles, all the obstacles, or the difficulties, or the symptoms in the body, all our diseases and sickness are there to tell us something and are there to bring us home. So instead of patching them up with band-aids, instead of like taking this or that, or trying to brush them off, or, you know, going the masculine route, which is just like fix them, you know, it's sit with the difficulties, sit with the darkness, sit with the pain. And nobody else can do this for you but yourself. Ask those questions, ask the meaningful, very deep questions, and you will find yourself. And that's how you grow up. So it's a matter of growing up.
Yeah. And how does that work in terms of food for women, especially in terms of healing them? How do you see that connection of the divine feminine and food?
This is why this work for me, it's so beautiful, so magnetic, and so powerful. Okay, because what we're doing with our bodies as women is that we are stealing the power from ourselves by treating the body as an object. So we're limiting ourselves, and we're limiting the way that we see ourselves, instead of seeing ourselves as very powerful beings that are capable of unthinkable things. We are reducing ourselves, of seeing ourselves as just objects that need to be fixed, that need to be shaped, that need to be fit in boxes, and that need to be, or weight this amount of, or this number to be accepted. So we are giving our power away by rejecting the body and not connecting with it. So again, the body is bringing you home. So all the symptoms that you experience in your body are not there to make your life miserable, are there because there's something in your life that you're not really paying attention to. And the body is bring you back home for you to really go there and realize, damn it, I gotta let go of this person. I need to quit this job. It's not making me happy. I am miserable in this place. I need to scream. Oh, I should take a walk in nature. So the body is such a magical and amazing. I mean, like our minds, our bodies, it's just incredible that we have these, these machines in a way that are so wonderful, and we can do, talk about witches and magicians, and we can do those things because that's just technology of the human spirit, when you put yourself in a square and you tell your body, oh, you suck, oh, you're fat, or you need to fit here, or I need to lose this amount of weight so I can go to this wedding. You are completely seeing yourself as an object, and that's where your magic's gonna die. Right. So the invitation of the Wild Women book is to connect to that divine feminine energy, so you can have the tools to understand the issues that you're going through. Right? And those tools are sometimes it's to let go, sometimes it's to trust the unknown, sometimes it's to be kind with yourself, sometimes it's about nourishment, sometimes it's about being your own mother. And what that mother archetype means is to have responsibility for your life. Right. So the body is here to remind us of our amazing opportunity that we have for being here. And so every time that we deny that, we're just denying ourselves the opportunity to be happy.
This is such a timely, conversation with you, because these times, especially the holidays and this time, I think we definitely have much more harshness towards ourselves, because people are going to be enjoying and eating and then feeling really bad about it. And that carries over to the next year and the way that we see ourselves. So I really appreciate you sharing this with us at this moment. I find it timely. I have a last question for you, because I don't want to let you go yet. Is why did you title the book The Wild Woman?
Because the archetype that symbolizes divine feminine energy the best is the wild woman. The wild woman doesn't mean someone that it's crazy, that lacks responsibilities, and walks around the world, looking at Tarzan's wife or something like that. The wild woman is actually what it means. It's an energy, and what that energy means is your untamed state. that pure state that you came into the world with, that knows absolutely everything, that has the wisdom of the world inside of you. That's what you have to return to. That is the archetype that you have to tap onto. That is the archetype that has the tools for your healing when you connect with yourself. That's why it's called the Wild Women.
If there's anything that we can share with the women in our life right now, is there anything you'd like to read from the book?
Yes, I would love to read you a little portion of the book.
Yes.
Our last question was addressing the Wild Woman. I'm gonna read a little bit about her and her energy. A wild woman is caring, loving, nurturing, flexible, playful, receptive, curious, and intuitive. Her life is powered by the desire and manifestation of love and beauty. She's ever-changing. She's fire and ocean. She's connected to the moon's mood and each season's winds. She's sensitive and perceptive, but she's quick to show her claws. She's discerning when it comes to protecting her home, her children, and her man. And yet she dances. She performs on her own and by the river. When she needs to be, she's as tenacious as an electric storm, but she returns to her softness. A wild woman is her own queen. She doesn't require permission from anyone. A wild woman is her very own, with her freckled skin and her audacious curves. She's music. She never apologizes for who she is. She's powered by an absolute force called self-love, to live a life of freedom and happiness. That's the wild woman.
I love that. And so just really going back to that pure state that you were saying, that untamed. I like that you called it the untamed state.
It's freedom. It's freedom. It's wherever you go, you have freedom because you are yourself. And what we don't allow ourselves in this society to be is who we really are. Yeah. So trust yourself and be you. That's what the Wild Woman is here to remind you. Because your natural state is nature itself. It's everything. It's everything that is around us. It's the whole, it's the all, it's life, it's existence. That is who you are. And that's what we all are. So returning back to that beautiful state is just ecstasy. It's just explosion of creativity, of love, of joy, limitless, infinite,
That's beautiful. I really appreciate you taking the time to take us through that. And I'll be sharing the details for everyone on the book. And I really would love to dive a little deeper with you and perhaps bring you back on the show. I would love that.
Anytime. We can pick maybe specific chapters when it comes to...
Yes, I think that would be really lovely. Yeah.
Whatever you want. This work is of service. It's something that it's not mine. It doesn't belong to me. I'm just here to share.
And thank you so much. I thank you for coming on the show with us. And I really do hope to bring you back another time so we can dive deeper. And
yes. Not a problem. My pleasure.
Check out Pamela Wasabi's new book, Healing Food Issues and Eating Disorders Through the Revival of Our Divine Feminine, The Wild Woman, Nourishing the Feminine Soul, and find Pamela Wasabi Bakery on Instagram.